Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Tuesday, October 17th. We're looking at the Trade the Chain dashboard right now. Total market cap still sitting at 1.09 trillion, unchanged after yesterday's volatility. Bitcoin slightly up in the past 24 hours, Ethereum slightly down, also explained by Bitcoin sentiment in 75 bullish area. Ethereum in the 57 neutral area still is a little bit bullish, but definitely weaker than Bitcoin, as demonstrated by recent price action. But good metrics right here. Total trading volume, we want to see above 40 billion. Above 40 would definitely be above the average that we've been hanging out in for the past 6 to 12 months. And then total tweet volume up 100% compared to the average. So people are excited after yesterday's volatility, despite the fake news from Cointelegraph. So hottest on Twitter, not faring too well. This is Zor is having a huge drop off. And hottest on Twitter just means number of tweets. It doesn't exactly mean bullish or bearish sentiment. But always interesting to see what people are chatting about the most, because as you can see, the hottest on the top coins talked about have some of the highest volatility as well. Top price gainers, we've got again still got these crap coins, hauling butt, hauling ass, I should say. But nothing too much to glean from here. I did think it was interesting that we did see, we've been seeing a lot of exchange flows for this Mithril asset. Obviously, Civic looks like they're coin margining that. Would look out for shorts in the near term once the bull run is stopped. And then another really good metric is stablecoin exchange flows. So we're seeing a lot of stables being added to exchanges. We did have a big outflow last night, but steady. We're seeing anywhere from 10 to 20 million dollars nearly every few hours, which is very positive right now, showing people might be ready to buy whatever dip comes our way. So very good metrics to start off there. DXY, fascinating price action today. If we actually zoom in on the 4-hour, you can see we did lift up a little bit very early in the session. We actually, we broke above that previous 4-hour candle, then we just dived straight down. So as we kind of demonstrated, as we spoke about yesterday, and as we told the TTC community, if it does break this recent low, which is kind of the previous daily close, should head down to around 105.5. Mainly looking to see the reaction at these lows right here. Obviously, if we get a sweep of those lows and crack back above this level, that'd be really good. So let me give you kind of the idea about what I'd like to see for DXY for the bulls. Drop down here, sweep this area, and then close right back up here. This would kind of be your trigger for a long. And then, what the bears, or I mean, what the bulls want to see is a, just slowly dropping, maybe some sort of reaction here, and then creep back down into this level. So basically kind of targeting this 12-hour moving average, which has kind of been our more or less our bull trend. And so if we make it down here, I'd have to imagine, both equities and crypto in this time frame as we head into late November, and just going to mark out, this is when the FOMC meeting will be. So if we just kind of drop into the FOMC meeting, that will definitely show that the market's expecting, some softer language from the Fed. Equities are probably lifting higher, and so is crypto in this type of reaction. So this is what the risk bulls want to see, and then the bears want to see us not follow through here. They want to see us or see DXY pop back above this 105.8, 105.9 level. So let's look at equities. And so, been kind of talking about this 43.78, 43.80 level for quite some time. Obviously, these highs are kind of the biggest worry in my bucket, but above this level right here, you've got a lot of room to roam up to 44.30, possibly all the way up to 44.80. And if we kind of zoom out, let's get like a 12-hour picture here. So this is a bit of a cleaner vision, and let me remove some of these lines here to make it easier on your eyes. But basically, we've been, we got this low from July, we've got these lows from August, and obviously we're above these lows, and we just need to get above, we just need to close above these lows from July, and then we can kind of start to attack all of the liquidity that is up here. So basically, above that high that I kind of marked out from October 12th, and you should kind of, I don't know if you'll laser up, but I would say, relatively fast reaction up to this 45.50 level, maybe 45.30 at the lowest, because you've got the kind of these lows down here. But I do think that this is very likely. And then from this area, we then drop back down and retest and move higher, or we, break above that and then move up into this liquidity. So basically, these are kind of just like halves of the range. So if you break into the range, you attack the first half. And then if you break above the second half, then you can start to target the 55.20 level. And then you've obviously got this liquidity to contend with, to then try and bust back up to local highs up here at 4,600. So that's obviously a long way away, but that is the process. Break above this high, move to the 50 percentile level, break above this level, move up to the top of the range, break above this range, and then you're now targeting these highs. And then, the fun part about the trading is, that rarely ever plays out exactly like we want. So if we tag this level, drop back and hold this level, then it makes it much more likely that we're at least going to then come back, test that liquidity, try and move higher up to the next level. So I think something like this is probably a little bit more likely, but obviously if we break immediately above the 45.50 level, then it's much more likely that we run to 45.20. So that's just basically your level to level right there. And then obviously if we fail, if we close back beneath kind of 43.77, in my opinion, then we will then do what we did this morning and retest this liquidity down here at 43.30. Right around 43.30 is where I would expect. So that's pretty much what I'm expecting. But I will say this does look strong in my opinion, and I'm not looking to fade this anytime soon, especially with what we just talked about with DXY. Because obviously if DXY is doing this, then it's much more likely that equities are doing something like that, So, and then just one final note that I wanted to make is, look at the reaction down here at the 1-day estimated 200 moving average. I remember when we were talking down here, then we kind of reclaimed this level, and now we're doing, kind of exactly what we talked about here. So do something like this, maybe then something like this. That's very plausible, especially if DXY is kind of lasering down into the November 1st meeting. So definitely would think about some price action like that. But again, you need to get above this liquidity level or none of what I just said will take place. So Bitcoin is very interesting. Obviously, I think the easiest way to look at it is you're basically stuck in this little mini range. We got this massive wick up here. We couldn't revisit liquidity above 28.5. And if we kind of zoom out, just to give you an idea about where I'm getting these lines from, this is the low from back, from August 1st. And then we also have this line right here at 28.1, which is the grayscale candle high, not the coin. This is the Cointelegraph candle. This is the grayscale candle. So, so we're basically kind of stuck right in this little level between that August low and the grayscale high. So in my opinion, there's no real trade in here unless you're like laser scalping this little range on the 1 minute candle, which there are some trades to be had. But the way that I'm looking at this is you want to get above basically 28.6. If you get above 28.6, you can basically start to talk about grabbing all the liquidity in this area and maybe, tackling the Monday high, which is circled right here. And then if you drop below pretty much 28.1, then you will likely revisit all the liquidity down in this area and likely the Monday low. So it's basically kind of take your pick on what your bet is, and you've got defined risk on kind of setting stops. You could set, stop for a long right here. You can set a stop for a short right here. So you can kind of play both levels and just then wait for one to go. But, definitely, that's probably not your best option in the world, although it certainly would be one where you can catch either end of the spectrum. But what I'm waiting for is just a reaction up with a bounce on top of resistance, or a reaction lower with a retest of, previously support, and then trade that down. So I think that's probably your easier option. And again, more likely than not, if DXY is moving lower on a higher time frame, Bitcoin should be moving higher. But that doesn't have to happen. So kind of this RSI does worry me a little bit. A lot of times, anytime we've had some sort of fake news or weird news reaction, we have sold that off in the next 48 hours is the statistic. And of course, that goes for, 88 RSI. So if we kind of zoom out, so anytime we've reached an 88 RSI, sold off, and then also sold off. So this was a much steeper sell-off than this was, but eventually, this happened, and then we traded all the way down here, although it took quite some time. So that's kind of the worst case scenario here, and then maybe we end up sweeping the Monday low, and then this, obviously this is your buyback trigger, and then we trade all the way up to the Monday high. That would not be out of the spectrum for Bitcoin, but I think your best bet right here is being patient, waiting for a break higher to long, waiting for a break shorter to shorts, and then obviously lining out your Monday high and your Monday low, because if you break low and you sweep the Monday low, that's a long, and if you break up and you sweep the Monday high, that's a short right there. So you've got some great opportunities sitting on the charts. I would say, bullish is going to be more likely the option, just because of the way the DXY and of course equities are reacting right now. But you never really know, and that's why you wait for the confirmation. So Ethereum definitely looking much weaker than Bitcoin. I mean, it's Bitcoin's still maintaining, the low point where it traded after the volatility, and Ethereum actually swept the low from this volatile candle. So this was basically the low after that news traded, and Ethereum swept that level. So if you get above this 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, I think your risk is really good and defined here, because then if you pop above that, your next target will be the VWAP, and then your next target will be this area up here. And so your risk is defined, so you can just set your stop right here for the long at the low. I would probably wait for a 1 hour estimated 200 moving average break, because I have seen this do something like this plenty of times, and the last thing you want to do is be sweating that stop. So I would wait for a 1 hour estimated 200 moving average confirmation before getting into this, but your risk is defined on along with the stop at the low, especially after it swept the low after yesterday's volatility. So basically cleaned out any stops that were sitting here from yesterday, and are basically kind of resetting the stakes. And we're also seeing open interest start to climb back up. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be longs or shorts, but it definitely means some sort of move is likely on the horizon, because people are building up open interest on the charts here. And same with Bitcoin, you got this open interest build up down here as well. It's nowhere near where it once was, but as you can see, people are beginning to make bets. There should be some sort of move on the horizon. And then it's up to you to kind of, pick and choose the levels that you want. But again, DXY moving lower, kind of, chatting against resistance here. First indications up, but again, still want to wait for confirmation. That's kind of what I'm saying for ETH too, is, I definitely am leaning higher, but we've seen plenty of fake outs, plenty of nonsensical moves. I'd rather wait for confirmation before tackling that. And then one final note is the ETH BTC chart. This close is not going to be friendly if we close on the 12-hour below this 0.05537. So let me actually give you a better looking chart here, so it's a little bit more clear. But I kind of drew this yesterday, and since we swept this level, but since the past two 12-hour candles have been just slowly creeping down. So if we close beneath this 05541 level, which, to kind of normalize this a little bit, coincides with the low from all the way back here in May and June of 2021. If we close beneath that level, we are most likely going to end up grabbing the liquidity down here, or at the very least, the liquidity sitting right here at the 0.0534 level. But, on the bright side, there is a chance that if we close above the current level that we're sitting at, that there could be, that's basically a good sweep opportunity, right? So, you sweep that low, you hold the low, you break back, it's a little bit tougher look on the 12-hour candle, but your risk is defined down here, right? So if you trade it up here and you're looking for something like that, well, your risk is defined. So not saying it's the best idea, and I do think you want to wait for this 12-hour close above 0.05537, but it's beginning to look better, especially considering it's holding this low right here. But again, it did kind of do the same thing here, and we, and I told the TTC community, wait for confirmation up, wait for that trigger, and you'll probably be rewarded, and obviously you didn't lose if you didn't take the long, because you were waiting for the confirmation anyway. So wait for the confirmation. this is a good trade opportunity, but just with how the things are going, we do have to understand what's going on the macro side of things. Bitcoin ETF, all the rage, all the focus. We saw what happened yesterday with a fake news story. This still dropped, even though everything was moving higher at the time. And so very important to consider what's going on and how the news is likely to impact things. And I still, even if Ethereum moves up on a Bitcoin, on some sort of good news associated with Bitcoin or a Bitcoin ETF, it's still going to move up less than Bitcoin, which is going to shovel this lower. So I don't love the trade. I don't love the opportunity, but it is there, and it's worth noting because we could see a snap back higher before we get any Bitcoin news. And so the trade opportunity is there. So back to ETH. We'll close it out with one more look at the 1 hour. But again, above estimated trending moving average, good long opportunity. As long as it stays below, bad long opportunity. So with that being said, good luck, happy trading. See everybody tomorrow.